The Sun newspaper today claimed that Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer works for free in his time as a lawyer to help some sick, sadistic criminals reduce their sentences or even to walk free from jail. Starmer was part of a team that launched several bids to scrap the death penalty across Africa and the Caribbean. But could this affect his chances at this year's general election? Well, joining me now to discuss this is barrister and writer Steven Barrett, the apolitical expert who I always turn to in such times of legal analysis. Thanks for joining us, Steven. So, of course, Starmer's political opponents are making much of the fact that he helped some criminals who, well, let's face it, are very, very dangerous. A Jamaican who killed his girlfriend and their 9-month-old baby, a Malawian a murderer who buried his stepson, aged 2, alive, and a Ugandan axe murderer. But of course, Starmer's defendants say he was merely doing his job. What's your take?
Right. Well, you remember that the last time that Keir Starmer was attacked for the work that he did inside the UK, I came on and I defended him. And that's because, broadly put, barristers who operate inside the shield of our ethical obligations all deserve defence. By their very definition, criminals are awful people. So most of those criminal barristers who have gone to work today, a lot of them will have represented somebody really awful. And it's entirely right that somebody like me steps in to defend them, to remind people where the ethical shield is. In this instance, it's very difficult, very different. And what Mr. Harry Cole of The Sun has done is identified the cases where Mr. Starmer isn't operating inside the UK. He isn't being paid. He isn't doing his job. He's volunteering to go abroad and to represent people who've already been convicted of these awful things, and he's trying to get them off the death penalty. Now, that is his personal political opinion. And it's not inside what I called earlier our ethical shield. So it is perfectly right for everybody to take their own view of whether or not they approve of that. And of course, being neutral, I'm not going to say whether the death penalty is a good or a bad thing. I mean, there are a number of political ideas. Is the death penalty right? Is it right to go to foreign countries and tell them that they must or must not have the death penalty? These are fundamental political questions that we all must ask ourselves. What I want to highlight is that there is a distinct difference between a barrister acting inside their ethical shield, operating under the cab rank rule, and those barristers who voluntarily engage in political campaigning. And when they do so, and I've been vociferously criticised by a number of really rather rude individuals on social media for pointing out this rather simple point, barristers are not immune to criticism forever. Everything a barrister does is not inviolable. And Keir Starmer chose to make these political decisions. He chose to represent these individuals. He may very well defend that, but he'd be defending it on a political basis. And what I want to do is to make it clear to the public that they have every right to disagree or agree with him. If they agree with him, that's their political opinion too. But he's no longer under the shield of barristers' ethical protections. He chose to do this.
Now, Steven, Starmer's defendants will say for 20 years he campaigned against the death penalty outside of the UK, and so he wasn't actually supporting these violent criminals, as in giving them a character reference as such. He wasn't actually talking about the particular instances of their brutal crimes. He was merely trying to save them from the death penalty as an ethical, philosophical, legal point of view. He's entitled to do that, isn't he? No matter what you think about the individuals.
No, and I want you to pass a line between those three words. I want you to put ethical and moral on one side and legal on the other. Because ethical and moral is with politics. And all you can say about it, if he did it for 20 years, all you can say is, well, he was consistent in his political position. Whether you think good of that or bad of that, it was nonetheless a political position. He did know, it's right to say he knew what they had done. So when the Sun article highlights what these people had done, he wasn't defending them at trial. He's going over to appeal and try and get the death sentence reduced. It's a consistent political position, but it is a political position. Barristers only get automatic protection from criticism when they stay on the other side of that line, when they stay inside our ethical shield, when they operate purely under the cab rank rule. He chose to do this. It may be laudable. It may be that many of your viewers think that this is a heroic thing for an individual to do. And all I can ever do is simply say, I have no comment. Whether he's a hero, whether he's a devil, it's a personal political opinion. But our shield, our protection from criticism, does not extend to every aspect of our life. And he cannot expect to avoid criticism for these choices which he has made. He must own them. If he wishes to be proud of them, then argue for them.